Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of WinterStarcast. This time, we've got a match between two North American Titans, a Protoss and a Zerg. We have, in the top right-hand corner, it is one of the top North American players of all time, absolutely tearing up the top of the Grandmaster ladder. It's going to be Neeb. And his opponent, the Zerg, the Queen of Blades. You all know her, and you all love her. It is from the On Fire clan, Scarlett. One of the most accomplished Zerg players to come out of North America. One of the most accomplished players to come out of North America at all. So a North American showdown between the Canadian Scarlett and the American Neeb. And we've got a ZVP here on Dust Towers just starting off. Jumping in as we see Neeb has already opted for the Gateway Expand. He's getting that early Nexus out and as well a Stargate behind. This is very customary. Just to take map control to shut down any of that very common drop style we see out of a lot of Zerg players nowadays. Scarlett opting for an economical opening. She's going for the 3 hatcheries before putting on any sort of aggression, but she also has the Zergling speed on the way. She's going for the pneumatized carapace, or however you pronounce that. I absolutely do not know. Pneumatized? It sounds good. We'll go with that. But the Overlord speed upgrade. And she's adding on Revolution Chamber. We should see a Baneling Nest soon, unless she's just going with the Zergling drop style. Which, against someone like Neeb, who's only going for a single Stargate, he's going to be able to pump out Phoenixes. And he does have gateways behind. Could be pretty effective. We see that finishing up. By the way, this match is from the Ting of the Hill Base Trade TV. So kind to provide the replays for everyone to take a look at. And hopefully you guys support them for putting on these matches. And also, of course, Ting, their sponsor. And it looks like Neeb able to pick up a Zergling there for first blood. He sees that these Overlords are coming in. They're not going to be going for Overlord drop too early on. It looks like that Evolution Chamber just for the melee upgrades. So what will Neeb do? He's got the 2 gateways behind. Not enough gateways to indicate an all-in attack, but enough gateways to easily take another base. We see Scarlett already keeping her Overlords at home. She has Overlord speed, so she can run from those Phoenixes relatively easily. The only Overlords that will not escape are those already behind enemy lines on the other side of the map. We see the Zerglings in position. The next important objective for either player is acquiring a third for Neeb and denying a third, or at least scouting it for Scarlett, as she knows that is the big tell. That will determine whether Neeb is going all in or not. And it's not, we're below 5 minutes into the game. He could still opt for that expansion. He doesn't have to go in all in behind, and we see he's not. He's got the 3 gateways producing. He's got several Phoenixes. He's feigning a pretty strong all in. But as soon as he pushes those Zerglings away, in comes the Nexus laid down directly on the spot at that third. And it looks like he's just going to be able to pick off a handful more drones. The Adepts will come back to defend. They've forced out their Zerglings. They've forced out the response. And now we look at the worker counts. We actually see Neeb ahead at 47 probes against 44 drones, which is pretty impressive up against an early 3-hatch Zerg player. Neeb playing with the information of Scarlett here. She doesn't know whether he's going to expand. She doesn't know whether he's going to go all in. She has to fear the worst, that there are dozens of Adepts flying across the map, possibly with the Adept attack speed upgrade, the Resonating Glaives finishing up, but that's not what the case is. Neeb has had plenty of time to secure his expansion. There are a few Banelings on the way. Scarlett's going to come in, see those sentries, and I would be surprised if she commits to that attack. She knows how solid Photon Overcharge and Adepts are in tight spaces. Alright, the third base is finishing up, and we see 2 robotics. Interesting here to note, 2 robotics facilities before a Forge, before a Twilight Council. We still don't see a Twilight Council, but a very big commitment in towards the Immortals here. This is going to allow for that incredibly strong ground army, and now you know what's important. You know why Neeb is able to commit to this strong ground army. He knows with his Phoenixes, he has that basic defense against the Mutalisk. He's been constantly scouting, and has he seen? Yes, he's seen exactly when the lair started, so he knows he's going to have plenty of time to be able to put together this ground force before anything like Mutas could potentially threaten him. That first level of tech has already been negated. He's got a wall up, he's got a third base online. So Neeb taking control of the situation with these early Phoenixes, manipulating the vision and the scouting of Scarlett as best as he can, and doing it very well, getting him even a supply advantage early on, but I would be surprised if that continued. for that much longer into the match. We see Scarlett not opting for the Spire. It's so risky to go for a Spire when there are already Phoenixes on the map. Instead, the Hydra's Den will be the choice, which indicates, yes, Lurkers are on the way. Now, Immortals, of course, incredibly good against Lurkers on their own. Phoenixes as well. He has the Stargate. He could potentially build an Oracle for that vision, but will he realize this in time? The Phoenixes are just scouting around the map. I don't believe Neeb... Okay, Neeb has actually seen the Hydra's Den. He knows the tech path, the direction that Scarlett has chosen. So he knows how to build his army. And he's building that composition. We see that Oracle, like I mentioned. We see Charge on the way. We see upgrades. And we see continued Immortal production. I even like this wall up here. Just reducing the risk of any sort of concave from these Lurkers. The only thing that can really threaten a heavy Immortal count is a ridiculously good concave. But the Oracle's so important because Observers can be killed. Observers are mortal. Revelation is not. Revelation is a spell you cast to get constant vision of your opponent's units. And you cannot get rid of it unless you lose the unit. The only way to get rid of a unit with Revelation is for it to die. Or for the Revelation, which lasts a pretty long time. I believe about 40, 50 seconds to time out. It's 43 seconds, which was a minute back in Legacy of the Void time, back when we were still on StarCraft time, but that's too much to get into right now. All right, now we're at the moment of truth. Neeb is getting a 4th base. If he gets a 4th base, Scarlett eventually cannot build a strong enough lair tech army to win the game. She's going to need to go to high. But if she's on 5 base production against just the 3 bases of Neeb, she can trade efficiently enough. It doesn't have to be efficiently. It doesn't have to be 1-for-1, but efficiently enough that she can eventually overwhelm these forces. Now we're looking at the army supplies. We see 101 to 97 Neeb staying very even, but the strength of these Lurkers is not to be underestimated. The Banelings will come in and crash through the front lines so the Lurkers can get damage to those power units, the Immortals and the Archons. Now we see the wraparound in the front. We see the Lurkers starting to do damage. There's just not enough to engage them right now from Neeb. Well, Revelation is used. Able to see all of these Lurkers, and so many Phoenixes are coming in to pick these up. It looks like Neeb is ready to fight, and he's forced to back off. The Phoenixes are doing a good job against the Lurkers, but are they doing good enough? Just the Zerglings are here to fight, but the Immortals not so great at that single target damage against so many tiny units. And it looks like Neeb is losing this fight pretty convincingly. Scarlett picking that perfect timing. There weren't enough Archons. There weren't quite enough Immortals, and there weren't enough gateway units to get that flank, and Scarlett is driving the point home. The Revelation still allows detection on these Lurkers outside the base. Will we see another follow-up wave? This is what I was talking about. We look at the units lost tab, and we actually see Scarlett is behind. She's lost more units, but she has access to more income and more resources, so losing those units is not as important as it is for Neeb. He just lost, what, 4, 5, 6 Immortals? Something like that, which definitely depletes the strength of his army dramatically. So now it's a fight between whether Scarlett can capitalize on that victory in enough time before Neeb can rebuild. He has access to 4 bases. His supply is shooting upwards. It was down at 125. He's already up to 160. But Scarlett has reached the big 200. She's got the Hydra speed range behind a ton of Lurkers, and by that I mean 8. It's even underneath. Okay, that's not that many Lurkers. But having too many is actually a bad thing when you could have Zerglings and Banelings and the like. Oh, a couple Lurkers going down almost instantly, but a lot of Hydras to hold the line. The Banelings are rolling through. The Chargelets will evaporate. The Archons are trying to get through this front line of the Hydras, but once again, Neeb dropping dramatically in supply. Will Scarlett be able to finish the game here? She needs to try to capitalize on this situation before Neeb can rebuild. Neeb back up to 135 supply. Charge lots are coming in from the left-hand side, really screwing with the damage of the Lurkers. They're forced to fire in 2 different directions, and they're not very good at turning here. And it looks like what looks like a great fight for Scarlett is going to be a solid hold as Neeb keeps his bases together. Just the strength of this Protoss army cannot be underestimated in such a good position. Neeb doing a great job in manipulating the AI of those Lurkers. He knows they will fire at the closest target unless Scarlett is target firing on it, which is incredibly difficult to do well. But those charge lots coming in from the left-hand side, negating all but 100% of the total Lurker damage, and allowing Neeb to hold on, continue to mine, very importantly, continue to mine from 4 bases. He's looking at 73 probes against 89 drones, yes, But Scarlett does not have a hive. She's still got lurkers, she's still got hydras, and she's still got zerglings, and they have not yet finished the game. And Neeb is still building up. Every time I say this, Neeb gets knocked back down a couple pegs, but he does not get knocked out. He's holding strong. We're going into round 3 here. And he's still holding. He's got Archons, he's got plenty of Immortals, he's still got the very incredibly important Oracle. You want to spend time building from a Stargate, not from your Robo. You don't want to build observers as well. You want that Revelation to keep track of the army very efficiently, as well as being able to continually produce Immortals. All right. Now we see 200 to 175 supply. The Lurker's in a terrible spot. This time it looks like Neeb getting a good start to the fight. And the Banelings are rolling in the Archons and Immortals. Not very cost-effective there. Only 2 Archons left. We have a few Storms on the side, but the supplies are very even. This fight looks like it's going well for Scarlett, but the very beginning of that fight went poorly, which means she doesn't have the buffer. She doesn't have the front line to keep this army from being so effective. And now we see the Lurkers will burrow, but the Zerglings are starting to evaporate. There's a few Storms in the back. The Immortals will be forced to retreat. There's enough Zerglings to push those Immortals away. But once again, Scarlett is caught between the 3rd and the 4th base, and she cannot quite break through. She has vision of those Lurkers. There's nothing underneath them right now. I keep talking about it. There is no hive, and I personally, as a Zerg and a Protoss, know how strong and how scary this army can be. You get caught out of position once, and you could lose the game immediately. It looks like Neeb has decided it's time to force the issue. A few Lurkers on the ground will definitely cause him to rethink that evaluation. 47 Banelings! So many Banelings! On the way. So, for many more reasons than one, this is an all-in attack. The lives of these Banelings will be lost one way or another. And Scarlett is spreading over the entire map. She's at the north, she's at the south, and she's coming in the front. It looks like Neeb finally decides to unleash his storms on the unsuspecting Banelings, and most of them will evaporate before connecting with their targets. Still so many Lurkers moving in. Oh, 157 to 175 once again. Just the Lurkers remain, and just the Lurkers cannot fight against these Immortals. The shields are too strong, and they'll punch through too quickly. Scarlett investing so much into that attack, and she did not finish it. She's putting 90 Zerglings into production at a time. That is ridiculous. But is it enough? As Neeb is constantly maintaining, I can't stress how hard it is to maintain your composure under this constant pressure from a player with as much experience and as much strength as Scarlett. And he's doing a great job of it. The supplies are even. This is not good for Scarlett. She's kept up the pressure, but Neeb has not cracked. He's bent, but he has not broken. And now we see what could be the last gasp. We see finally the Hive, the Spire, Scarlett even admitting that she can no longer continue on this unit composition. The real counter here is Broodlords. For those asking, how do you beat this? Broodlords. The answer is Broodlords, which force the Protoss player to switch into Tempest. The Broodlords shut down this push. There's nothing with real range to deal with it, and they can push everything away from the Lurkers. But if you can't get to Broodlords, it's incredibly difficult to fight this army. You need to have a great engagement, and creep spread, as well as well-placed Lurkers can do a lot. Scarlett switching to Mutas. She knows there's no Phoenixes left. In fact, there's only one Archon here for direct anti-air. Oh, the Spine Crawler wall is not done. The backbone of her defense has not been completed. The Storms will drive the point home. They will evaporate the front line of the charge lots here. More Storms washing over the Zerglings, and they will melt as well. Everything with Ling in the name has disappeared from the map. And you see, but the Lurkers are coming in from the back. Is there enough, though, with the Mutas are coming in, forcing some Storms out, not onto the Lurkers. Neeb is trying to drive the point home. There are no War Prisms to follow this up, just a couple Phoenixes. It looks like the Muta switch might be enough. Neeb has kind of caught himself in a corner here, and Scarlett, against all odds, will she be able to actually break through? Every single Archon is evaporated. The Immortals are caught between the Mutas and the Lurkers, which is where they never want to be, and surprisingly, Scarlett has broken through with a Lair Tech army against this unit composition, which is something that you definitely do not see every day. Neeb eventually lost those Phoenixes. He did not replace them, and he was punished for that. Scarlett recognizing the weakness, striking at the right moment, and taking victory. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, give me some feedback in the comments below. Thank you for Base Trade for the match. Good luck, have fun, and happy StarCrafting.